Paradise besieged. The Everglades is dying for the benefit of a few. Greed, trumping public interest, is a story all too common today. But destroying a national park of global importance, home to many endangered species, the sacred lands of Native Americans, and the lifeblood of locals, how can we let this happen? This delicate ecosystem that sustains some of this planet's most cherished plants and animals is on the threshold of collapse. And for decades, Florida policymakers have voted against the health of this national treasure.
When I describe the Everglades, I describe an ecosystem that begins just south of Orlando, a place called the Kissimmee Chain of Lakes, where the water would have rushed down through the Kissimmee Valley, down through into Lake Okeechobee. The Everglades would overrun the southern rim of Lake Okeechobee and straight down into Florida Bay.
The effort to make the land suitable for agriculture and development began over 100 years ago. Today, half of South Florida's original wetlands have been overrun. Agriculture, cities, roads, levees, dams all interrupt the natural water flow. The byproduct has been drought, chemical runoff, and toxic discharge that are wreaking havoc on the Everglades ecosystem.
So it was essentially a big, wide, pure freshwater river running from Orlando to Florida Bay, and that was the Everglades. Everything we've done here has worked against that, everything. The billions of gallons of water that used to come into the Everglades are hitting Lake Okeechobee like they used to, and then flowing to the east and west to get rid of it. The 2 million acres or so of cattle ranches we built between Lake Okeechobee and Orlando, which pour cattle waste into the lake. The citrus and tomatoes east and west of the lake. The 700,000 acres or so of the Everglades agricultural area, including hundreds of thousands of acres of sugar. And everything is dying. The wildlife and habitat in Florida is just going steadily downhill, and we know what's happening to it. And we know why it's happening. There's nothing at all mysterious. The solution, however, is political.
As desperate as the situation has become, environmentalists continue to push for restoration.
If you want to do Everglades restoration, we know what the historical system was. Start buying up the land and return it to wetlands. You'll be getting a huge amount of habitat. You'll have a restored Everglades. You'll bring back that flow.
In 1934, after more than 20 years of political struggle, the Everglades National Park was finally established. Even then, the park would only encompass a quarter of what was originally envisioned. In 1974, conservationists, along with Native Americans, succeeded in establishing Big Cypress National Preserve, an area originally intended as part of the Everglades National Park. Big Cypress is a rain-driven system that provides much-needed water runoff into the Everglades.
If you want to see original Everglades habitat, the Big Cypress is the best place to see it. There's nothing like it anywhere. When they created the preserve, they allowed for existing mineral right holders to do oil drilling in the preserve. But the preserve was established to protect and keep intact that very rare and valuable piece of land, that rare ecosystem. I've been to the oil fields there and elsewhere. The drill pads look nothing like habitat. So they create essentially a 5, 6, 7 acre parking lot, bring in trucks, generators, tanks to separate the oil from the brine that comes out. I mean, it's a big industrial operation. It looks like a construction site.
The aquifer that everybody depends on, millions of people depend on for life, for their water. We're in Miami right now. Where are all these people going to get their drinking water?
In 2014, 75% of Florida voters passed Amendment 1, an amendment that would provide much-needed money to purchase the land south of Okeechobee in order to restore water flow. Over 2 years later, and the money now available, it still hasn't happened, sending a firestorm through environmental groups. Senator Alan Hayes responded by saying there is no requirement to spend a specific portion solely on land acquisition, leaving voters despondent and confused. The economy of Florida is driven by tourism. Healthy lakes, rivers, beaches, parks all determine how well the economy does.
They say Miami is ground zero for sea level rise. Today we participated in a march for climate change.
Thousands of people were there. And it looked to me like a social movement. I go to events like the one yesterday, I start to feel optimistic. Local people can get involved in those issues and raise their voices, and they have to raise their voices together and make demands. The solution is not scientific, it's political.
I want to see, everyone's future generations have the right to exist and enjoy Mother Earth like I've had the opportunity. No one has the right to take that away.
Restoring the water flow from Okeechobee to the Everglades would turn around an ecosystem that's on the brink of collapse. The Everglades is a mosaic of 8 different habitats and home to more than 70 threatened and endangered species. We can't let corporate interests destroy this national treasure.